Recording in progress.
All right, so Chris, we can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Let's call a meeting to order at 3:30. And Jamie, could you please establish your quorum?
Commissioner Dixit,
Yes, present.
Chair Olson,
Here.
and then Commissioner Gallagher Thompson.
Here.
So we do have a quorum of 3 present.
Wonderful. We stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then do we have public comment? Or do we have? No. Thank you for coming. So, our next order on the item is our minutes. And I'm assuming.
You talk again?
Now it's on, there we go. We have our minutes. Are there any changes, updates, or corrections? Does everybody have an opportunity to do them? Okay.
Hello, hello. Okay.
There we go.
Made a difference.
So we need a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the minutes.
And a second, all right, let's vote. All in favor to approve the minutes from February 2nd, say aye. Aye. Those are unanimous, so the minutes have passed from February 2nd. And we move on to item number 2, which is our work plan, joint city council and city commission meeting. Finalize our work plan from October 25 through September 26. And we'll also prepare for the joint city council, city commission meeting coming up next Tuesday. So
Yep, so we are currently scheduled to, we should finalize our work. And in the packet, you will have both the previous term, which was October 2024 to September 2025. And we have the working document for October 2025 through September 2026. And made the changes based upon the conversation and discussion that was had at the February meeting. So what you should see is both the work plan, which you will notice, let's go. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was looking at different papers. We have 3 goals, which one is social participation, community support and healthcare services, and then outreach and marketing. And there were a few areas that were suggested from the February meeting. So we should finalize and make sure this is representative of what the commission would like to do or try and achieve through September 2026 of this year. And then on top of that, there are some adjustments of our scheduled joint commission city council meeting was planned for Tuesday, March 10th. But given how many commissioners may or may not be available, Mayor Meadows has graciously offered to provide the presentation to City Council based upon what the commission approves at the meeting today. So we can work through all of the work plan and then make sure that Mayor Meadows has what she needs as well. So just wanted to provide that information and context.
I was gonna say, unless you prefer otherwise to send, I think there was only one
We-
commissioner available,
We
so.
now do have two.
Oh, you do?
We do have two, which would be, and Jim Basigi did confirm that he is able to make March 10th. So, but that came after kind of some of the.
I think that you could go, because I was just telling Dave.
Well, I'll be there anyway.
But you've been at all our meetings anyway, so you have heard all the discussions.
Well, I have, and it seems straightforward and since it's a joint commission, it seemed, you know, that, it, without a lost office member, not that it matters, but so I will defer if you have a strong preference, but if you don't, I'm happy to represent it. I think it'll be pretty clear.
I think it's
When you can, yeah.
It's good.
Thank you, Sally, for stepping up and doing that. So looking at our work plan, can you hear me okay? Rather than
Yes, and what I'll go ahead and do is I'll share on the screen so that you can see it up on the screen as well too. Go to the correct page. Not quite as large. Let me see if I can make it a little bit larger for you. I'll have to move some, so you won't be able to get the whole, but just let me know and I can address. So the first one is our social participation, and we do have the collaboration with Club 55 and Adult 50 Plus to host the Spring Fling in May. And as the notes are listed, the date has been confirmed for Friday, May 15th. So the actual series of events will begin in April, but our collaborative event will be the second one, which will be hosted in May. And we had selected an ad hoc subcommittee, which is Commissioner Dixit and Chair Olson. But we have, we'll be ramping up with kind of some of the planning coming up. The next one that you'll note is the Community Support and Healthcare Services. The commission hosted a health fair last year in September 2025. So it was recommended to be placed on the work plan to host another one in fall 2026. That is a separate actionable item a little bit further into the agenda. And the thought was to also notes based upon the discussion at our February meeting is to include emergency preparedness topics and vendors for the vendor exhibit that was hosted in Grand Oak. So those were a few pieces. And then the slightly larger one, which is where a lot of the discussion in February centered around, was outreach and marketing. So there were 3 additional areas that were suggested, that this was a suggestion by Commissioner Dixit, which was to try and increase participation in one of the program activities here at the community center, which was the chair yoga program. And then we also had a discussion about outreach to isolated seniors and to increase awareness about emergency preparedness and some of those educational opportunities. And then the other conversation was also to host emergency preparedness presentations after lunch. And that was supposed to be in, as I noted in the notes section, to work with the Adult 50 Plus staff to schedule that. So this is all based upon quite a bit of the discussion that we had in February. So if there are any adjustments or anything to the 25-26 which is currently shown here. I can adjust what is on the screen if needed.
Well, I would just wonder if we need to limit this to the 50 to the chair yoga program. You know, in the outreach and marketing and free, it seems like there are other programs here that are offered that are very appropriate for people age 50 plus, depending on their fitness level, you know, their health status. So I didn't like limiting it to chair yoga. I thought that was like an example, but not how can we improve participation in other health-related classes at the center? That's a modification, I don't know.
That's interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
I do want to say that the reason why I said the chair yoga was because there is such little participation in that particular program that it seems like nobody knows about it. It has existed for several years and is very diligently practiced by the person who is the instructor, but the participation is negligible. Whereas the other programs may not have that degree of non-participation, which is why I specifically mentioned that. However, if you want to address it all, that's just fine. And most of it should be happening. For example, if you compare it with pickleball, it's
Right.
teeming over with people who want to participate. So which is the reason why I wanted to make it into a special mention.
Well, that makes sense, you know, but I guess I wouldn't limit it to, but I would say it's a good example of one that could use the work on outreach and letting people know, maybe having videos, you know, there's nothing, we only have words and the flyers, you know, there's no demonstration. I mean, there was at the health fair, but that's one afternoon, 2 hours, so I think we need to be more proactive about thinking how to get this information to people, which is the whole point of outreach and marketing, right? So having videos or podcasts or, well, maybe podcasts wouldn't fit this audience, I don't know, but videos probably would, you know. Ways of showing them, you know, and examples of people their own age, you know, we identify more with people who look like us than we do with people who don't, right? So if everybody who goes to the class looks like a 20-something, you know, hip and hop type, then it's not something I'm gonna feel, I'm not gonna relate to that, right? But if I see somebody that looks more like me, you know, I'll say, oh yeah, maybe I can do that too, you know? It's like Zumba, there's Zumba and there's Zumba Gold. So Zumba is, you know, the ones who can really move, right, go to Zumba, and the ones that have, you know, a little extra weight, a little knee problems, you know, a little extra, little lower energy, whatever, we all go to Zumba Gold, because Zumba Gold is at a different pace. And again, you see people there that look like you, so you say, well, yeah, I think I could fit in. So maybe we need more of that. I can't find the right word, role models. Maybe that's the concept I'm looking for.
Yeah. Can we backtrack just a tiny amount and figure out if we have a date?
How about we stay on this and finite this and we'll go back to,
Which one?
are you talking about the health? That's coming up
Okay,
The
so we want to
dates
stay on the social participation first?
on the increased
Outreach.
participation, on the outreach and marketing.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
think, I like your comment regarding not just honing in on yoga. I think it is a great opportunity to look at how we can really address and get, see if there is where the interest would be, and chair yoga, fantastic. Being able to see what other classes could be assisted and help the staff out in that regard.
So a few things in what we could, if I could make the suggestion, is maybe in the notes section, we can highlight as the example that chair yoga at the community center is an example of one of the programs
yeah,
that should be included, but maybe we adjust the project for adult 50 plus activities and programs so that it is a little bit more
Right.
inclusive.
Yeah.
But we could then in the notes highlight if there are specific ones. The additional information that I will share is many of the programs that we have, if you'll remember the standard marketing that our department does for all the programs, which obviously includes our activity guide listing on our website. We do create flyers, include the calendars that are available at the front desk and in the adult 50+ space, both here and down at Grant Park Community Center. So those are avenues that are already currently being done. And some of the discussion, obviously, we can find other avenues that we could potentially look at increasing awareness. Previous opportunities that I know some commissioners, and this was even when we were doing outreach about updating the action plan, the age-friendly action plan, the commissioners for the various events or things that you attended, bringing flyers, if it was acceptable to the organization that you happen to be attending or presenting. Commissioners even went to local organizations to do a brief, 5 to 10 minute presentation of, hey, these are programs that the city offers. As an example, we did have commissioners go to Rotary, I'm trying to think of a handful of other ones that, Rotary is the one that sticks out of my mind, but there are several other organizations that we could potentially do, provide flyers or do something like that. Those are just examples. That doesn't have to be the end all be all as far as options go. But
So when Commissioner Gallagher mentioned health related, could we actually make a new flyer that's got a list of all the health related and applicable to the senior population? Maybe that's what we can take up. And then that would be easy to distribute to everybody.
Absolutely.
And emergency preference.
Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah.
Good idea to put it together.
yes,
Double-sided information packet.
It's like Chris and I are both in Rotary There's like the fine art in the park now, where you can look up by name or you can look up by, category, jewelry, or, so this you could do this thing, as you said, health and emergency preparedness, maybe, or maybe even find like nutrition versus. Whatever.
We have it? Okay.
Let's go.
we have I would have to think, I know we have had a handful of workshops. They aren't necessarily on, as an example, like an ongoing, like chair yoga or even line dancing as an example, kind of movement based or fitness based. So we have had workshops which have kind of been more one-off where it's a specific topic that is presented, but we don't quite have a specific ongoing. Yes. So we can make those adjustments to that particular line item to adjust based upon that discussion.
Can I ask a question about the kitchen? There's a kitchen here. Okay, so have we ever done anything like demonstrations on cooking for one or cooking for two? How do you make nutritious meals rather than buying something, frozen and sticking it in the microwave, right? How can you prepare things easily and nutritiously for one? And could
Absolutely.
we use the kitchen for that? If there were such a person and they'll know somebody who does this, goes around and does these demos. And she's, not particularly interested in seniors, she's interested in mental health, so she looks at it from a mental health point of view. How does eating fuel your brain and helps your mood and all those kind of things, but I'm sure if we asked her to put something together that was more specific for seniors, she could do it, and she's got the background. But she liked to have a kitchen, so she could demonstrate and talk about types of food, she brings, frozen broccoli versus fresh broccoli, will do it the same, in her opinion, they're pretty much the same. But people might not know that, think, oh, I should get fresh, well, maybe not. Maybe frozen, that's organic is better than fresh, that's not organic, so she'll make points like that. Anyway, she's very good and she likes doing things for the community, so I'm wondering, do we have access to the kitchen is the question, and could there be something like that possibly, was it ever tried?
No, so answer is yes, we can absolutely use the kitchen as a programmable space to host programs. It was something that our department did try, as far as cooking-based classes. Unfortunately, we did not get signups or interest at the time. Now, I will say we are pretty much back to normal post-pandemic. There were a number of years that we tried and there were, individual, it was still kind of up in the air as far as what the community was comfortable in signing up for or not. So that is something that we could potentially look at for anyone that might be interested in hosting, whether it's a presentation or a class. It would be best to reach out to us, one of our staff members who coordinates all of our contract class instructors, because there is a process that they would need to go through in order to offer programs on behalf of the city. That is something that we could work directly with that individual if there's an interest in hosting, whether it is a class, nutrition, cooking, or not. It could be exercise, anything in that realm. Then we can get them into contact with the appropriate staff person so that they could look at whether or not they're interested in going through that process.
I'd like to add something on that, because just in this conversation, the word senior, I look at adult 50, and I'm thinking of all those working adults or couples that are working, and how helpful it would be for when you're working all day to come home and have something quick that is healthy. So if it is presented to her, maybe in that way, because correct. So that way, if we are hitting a bigger market, we're also hitting more of our community that we want to.
Sure. I'll talk to her and see what she said. I didn't want to say anything to her until I knew whether it was even a possibility.
Yes.
But do we have numbers on divorce rates here in council? That would be another number. Yeah.
Anything else on, so we will make the adjustments for being a little bit more inclusive on at least the project portion of it, but the notes will make sure that that's listed, particularly for, as Commissioner Dixit mentioned, the example that was created that started the conversation, so that we know, and then can also be a little bit more inclusive, as Commissioner Gallagher Thompson highlighted. The other two, I think, are fairly straightforward, but wanted to check to make sure if there were any other adjustments that needed to be highlighted, either outreach to isolated seniors and increase awareness, or to host emergency preparedness presentations after luncheons. That could obviously have some time to work and plan some of those.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Inquiry, regarding if the outreach to our isolated seniors, because, maybe it's worth checking in again of how do we work maybe with Meals on Wheels? I know they are. Is there a way to give them some flyers to then pass out of the programs that we are offering? To help have them reach out and have them sign up for that ride share. Be able to then, I'm just thinking it's kind of outside of what we can do, because we don't know who they are and they can't give that information. Maybe we can work with the police and the fire state a fireman to be able to do those same things. And it would almost have to be in paper rather than in a code or what have you, which is,
QR code.
QR, thank you, because,
Required QR.
because of the fear of what it might be linked to, so if it's on hand. Is there a way the city might work with that? Is that something, I know you are in the process of working with SourceWise? Do they offer something like that, where things can be handed out to people that we are unable to reach?
Let me, I don't know, that's a good question.
Or has the city tried that before? I'm sure this is not new.
No, it is not. So, I will say during the pandemic, we definitely worked cross variety of organizations in regards to getting out information about resources. Not all of those communications and collaborations are quite the same as it was during that time frame. So direct working, I know that I personally met with a few of the staff that did do some of the Meals on Wheels, but this was quite a while ago. I would probably say, venture to say at least a year and a half ago. And it was the idea of sharing information, but it is not a current collaboration that we are currently doing. So it is something that we could potentially look at. That is an option.
I found the information from SourceWise, so they do nutrition services and they do operate a Meals on Wheels program. And last year they gave out 807,000 meals.
Wow.
So they reach a large, the issue with, part of the issue with SourceWise is that they cover the entire county. So that from, Morgan Hill, or Gilroy, or not sure where the southern boundary is, all the way up to Palo Alto. And so Los Altos is a tiny blip in their service area, and I don't know. I'm new to it, but I can certainly talk with them about how they do this. They serve 14, if the senior registers, then they get 14 meals a week. It's a lot, and it's completely free. What isn't clear is whether or not there are eligibility criteria. I'm not clear about that, and they want to have a discussion about it, so. But it's worth exploring, yeah, because they are certainly well connected and well spread out throughout the entire county.
Okay, so that could be something we look into this year, if there's a way that it would be revisited, if it's worth the time.
No, and so specifically, at least for this topic, would be to make sure that what is listed on the work plan is representative of what the commission wants to do. We were teetering a little bit because we were kind of discussing a little bit more specifics. And so it might be good to maybe call this out as an agendized item specifically on how to reach isolated seniors, and maybe the commission can then come up with specific actionable pieces that we want to include in that. But at least the part of it that we should finalize is, or if we want to specifically divide off, if we want to identify specific projects, we can do that now as well too. Just making sure that we're focusing on the finalization of the work plan itself versus deciding kind of the other piece.
Within Los Altos and Los Altos Hills isolated seniors who.
We have no information about this. In the pandemic, there was a phone call service that was offered from here. And, but then, even then, we didn't have information about the isolated seniors. We just offered this service that somebody who felt isolated could call in. And there'd be a trained person here who'll be able to speak with them. So even after that, we don't know how many or where they're distributed. So yeah, it's a difficult topic too. But we can agendize it for, let's say, in June or July, that we can start the discussion on this so that we can ramp it up and perhaps send out information for our healthcare in fall so that they may be able to attend. So if we do it that as a future agenda, then somebody can. And I do want to go back to the community health fair for finalizing it.
Right. And
So at this point for that item, we say that this is something we want to do. We want to figure out channels for reaching the isolated seniors.
Yes.
We
pathways.
can, or we can leave it at this point, and once, as Commissioner Dixit has suggested, maybe once we do agendize it, we can, we can do it now, or we can do it, at another meeting to kind of determine what those specific projects might be.
But it can stay as a work plan idea.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. Let's be sure it's in the work.
Yeah.
yes.
So, sure, so one thing, I have no problem speaking to the string playing or the health fair. I just want, clarification, though I walked and I didn't take a pen, but, so this outreach and marketing that you're talking about on the work plan, how do you, so it's not really just ask me, or receive the pen. So you really, so how do you want me to describe that? That one I can't speak as well.
So, what we as a senior commission wanted to do was that we wanted to work increasingly towards creating more awareness for the seniors of the community about what possibilities they have to participate in these events. And we feel that the outreach and marketing is insufficient, so we want to come up with new ideas.
And
So it's just what it says, but I thought you were talking now about, right, trying to reach, that the marketing, I get marketing, and
Yeah.
but outreach is isolated, see, there's actually a term for it, and it's, the emergency responders use it, and I forget, it's an acronym. Functionally isolated something.
So, and I think we're talking about collaboration, right, that was like how, beyond the city of the city of Los Angeles, we collaborate with other agencies like Sourcewise and others that Meals on Wheels exists outside of Sourcewise, I think. I don't think Sourcewise.
I think that's getting into the details, which we should go
But
into.
outreach and marketing, I can explain, but outreach, the way it's phrased right now, outreach and marketing sounds like it's all marketing. But outreach is carrying more weight than marketing in this.
Yeah,
So,
we have to outreach first before we can market.
Well, I think what I will say is the city is doing a great job of marketing, and we reach a certain demographic that way. And what we were wanting to do is reach additional people and to be able to figure out what avenues we could do to reach those folks.
So what I'm hearing too, and what might be helpful, is maybe separating those two. Because it is.
sounds like it's the same thing.
Exactly, and so, which is, they're slightly nuanced. And so it might be helpful to separate that there is the increased awareness part of it, which is kind of that marketing avenue. But then there is the outreach to the isolated seniors that that the hope is to find other avenues to hopefully reach them. So whether it is a collaboration with Meals on Wheels or another organization that has access to maybe some of those individuals, I think that's where the separation lies.
Oh, marketing really is a part of the other items are calling out. What's being explained by the
Absolutely.
health fair, so I don't really think it needs its own.
Separate.
Yeah, so I think I would focus on this other,
The outreach part.
outreach to, and trying to bring
Digital.
resources more, yeah. And that way it's much more understandable, but here it sounds like it's just marketing. And that's not what you're talking about. Marketing is included in the events that you're doing.
So it's in addition to just the isolated seniors, it is also to engage those 50 and above who have not yet participated or are aware of. So it's both groups.
So I will make that adjustment for that one.
Okay. And then that way it's easier for me to explain. Yeah.
Great.
The last one before we go back, the host emergency preparedness presentations, I think that one is fairly straightforward. Any adjustments to that one? Okay, this is a pretty, I think, a robust work plan to take us through September. And it does bring in a portion of the emergency preparedness and kind of outreach to isolated seniors as well. To your question, Commissioner Dixit, there is an agenda item for selecting the date. And so that would be, so if everything is good, at least as amended per the discussion that we had, we just need approval, motion and a second, as this is the final draft of your work plan. As amended.
Make a motion.
I second, let's go ahead and make that.
All say aye. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Right. Unanimous. Yes. Approved as amended. Thank you very much, Steve.
Okay. All right, so I will go on, so the Commission Health Fair, it was a report in the packet. Essentially, there's a few pieces, so obviously I did include some of the information. The commission did host a health fair on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. It was from 12 to 3 here at the community center. And I did include the general breakdown of what the event included. And then I also included a summary of some of the feedback that was received, which was shared with the commission back in November. And we reviewed it at that time, but for the sake of discussion for this meeting to select the date, thought it was important to include. Some of the specific feedback was that there was a lot going on that day, which was a very robust vendor exhibit in Grand Oak. And we had quite a few, which attendance varied. This particular space, which we are in here for the Sequoia room, that particular room had very good attendance, while some of the physical demonstrations did not. So it was some of the feedback by the participants that said they wished they had more time to visit the vendors, have some discussion, but then also attend the presentations. So recommendation by staff would be to simplify what we had. So rather than doing, I think we had 9 presentations that day, to maybe focus on 2 or 3 so that it provides, we could do slightly longer presentations and then also provide some space between them so that it gives participants the ability to do both. That was definitely strong feedback that we got from some of the participants that chose to write feedback in the questionnaires that we had. So discussion wise, looking at the calendar for September, and staff is recommending to host the health fair in September. I'll get to that part a little bit further in the report. But the two dates, and they're listed in order of priority. The first suggestion is Tuesday, September 15th from 12 to 3 here. And that is because our senior commission regular meeting is rescheduled to a special meeting because of the Labor Day holiday that falls on the first Monday of that month. We have adjusted to the following Monday, which is September 14th, and there was a very nice synergy that we could meet just before the event, finalize all of the pieces, and then the event happens the following day. The second priority date, which is also an option, is Tuesday, September 22nd, which is again the following Tuesday, again from 12 to 3. Additional information that I thought would be helpful for the commission is that the City of Los Altos Parks and Recreation is going to be partnering with Avenidas, and we will be hosting the 2026 Caregiving Conference here at the Community Center, and that is scheduled for Saturday, October 3rd. So another reason that staff is recommending the 15th is so that the events are not so close together, that there is some time, and obviously the health fair could also be used to advertise the following event. So those are all the pieces before the commission to help decide which date would be preferred.
I have a quick question. We usually have some summer picnic, some where the big, the whole NACC is used up. What date is that? Because that would advertise the health fair.
Which event are you thinking of?
There's something where families get together.
Oh, Family Fun Day.
Family fun day. Is there one before this September 15th?
It is not. So our Family Fun Days, it will be August and then October.
So
So-
August is a good idea, the two that then sell the health fair. Okay, so September 15th is good with me.
Yes. So there would be no concern, at least on that one.
Yeah, no, I just wanted the word to get out on a big
Absolutely.
event. And
Yes.
if we have one before, then that works. How about all of you? Can we hope to say yes? Because apparently LACC has become such a prime location that dates are just going like candy.
That is very true. I
Yes.
will say, looking at numbers and even to just anecdotally as you walk, our center is very, very busy, both programmatically and just, and even outside events by what the city runs and also to what community-based organizations run here as well. So,
And last year too, it was a Tuesday, so it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And
Go ahead, say yes.
for the date, let's vote on the date unless you have any other question. Okay, everybody in favor of September 5th?
motion and second.
Oh, motion, sorry, I got myself.
15.
I motion that we have the date as September 15th for the health fair. Need to have a second?
Second.
We vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. So we have confirmed Tuesday, September 15th for the health fair. I think they look for 3 hours. I know because we had a bunch of speakers last time. Is that something, 3 hours, is that enough?
If we, I think, simplify the schedule, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
We need to have a big discussion on the health fair. When can we have it? Now?
Now's not the time. Now would be, I would not think, because we are, our next big event is in full spring flow. And so I think if we divvy up and we have what we could do, we could also think about assigning some work pairs for
Correct.
the.
And that is
health fair.
listed. That is listed, so we can also, if we wanted, similar to the Spring Fling, we can assign an ad hoc subcommittee, or we can assign a working pair to kind of collaborate. But obviously, we did working pairs for a variety of specific tasks. I know we had a working pair for securing vendors. We had working pairs to work on the layout. We had actually, I think it ended up with the ad hoc subcommittee that they confirmed the speakers. So we can assign an ad hoc committee or a working pair. At least timing wise, as I mentioned, the first part will definitely be to finalize the spring fling, because that is going to come up a little before, and we will have some time. There will be a transition period of overlap between the two events. But depending on who, if we would like to assign someone or two people, we can.
I want to say something here for all of us and all of you. That when we attempted the health fair for the first time, there was confusion in the focus. It might just be that I perceived it this way, but I think what we were trying to do was either to make it too academic or to have something that everybody could dip a little finger into and figure out if they found it appealing. And that confused the focus. If we're going to have only 2 lectures and a small number of vendors, so that it's simplified, then we as a team need to understand what we want to focus on, so that it doesn't become so spread out that it's nothing. The second thing that I wanted to also emphasize is we were so keen to follow what other cities were doing that we didn't do anything of our own. This is what I was left with. So for example, a person who came into our health fair, am I going to go to see the vendor? Well, I have to fill up this ballot and I get some goodie. So I'm going to first see the vendor. Or am I going to go at the same minute that the health fair begins to watch this speaker? Oh, well, the person who was academically inclined went to the speaker. The one who wanted the goodie bag went to the vendor. That can't be the way. That's not an adult way of doing things. That's a child's way of doing things. So I'm sorry to say this, but I was, I felt that it was a little incoherent. And if we're going to do it again, it should be done much better.
Thank you for that input. I think part of the discussion also will be who we want as the speaker, and I think if we have a theme or areas of themes that we come up with that we want to cover, that will then also lay over to what vendors we go. I don't think we have a number of vendors that in mind. I think if we offer, we have 26. You know, somewhere between 25 and 30 is probably what we want to go for again. We don't want to make it smaller where it's, but your comment regarding who we are getting, that's.
And time and all of that.
And time. So when you have one speaker, you then have time for the vendor and then you have time for the other speaker. You can't. I think how we offered it for the academia who wanted to get the speakers. It offered it for those that wanted the information quick and I'll get information later. I think it was up to whomever came of how they gathered what they wanted. And if it came across as hectic, those are notes that we learn and it could be in the layout that makes it easier and not as chaotic.
I understand all that, but what happens is that if we're going to agendize this after spring fling, we're into June. May is the spring fling. The meeting of the spring fling is just before the spring fling. So we won't have talked about the health fair before that.
Oh, I don't think we said that. I think it's just today. I think we have decisions we need to make about the spring fling. And do our tasks there. We have working pairs that we can
Okay,
go upon, and then the next meeting, really, we would be able to have our ideas together, and come up with, maybe that would be something you could send out to the commissioners after this meeting, so we can think about it, ideas for how we want to focus it, whether it be for the speakers, also directed with the vendors. So we come in with, and it's not a discussion here, but we've already started thinking about it.
All of the planning logistics from last year's event can absolutely share that with the commission as background information leading into the next discussion. We can absolutely agendize it for the next meeting so that we can start that conversation. I think the focus, and we can decide, do we want to assign an ad hoc subcommittee at this point? Because again, we are kind of discussing, we have selected the date. And so we can assign an ad hoc subcommittee. It could be one person, or it could be maximum of two. Or we can hold off and then assign that at the, a more maybe robust discussion at the next week.
I think we ought to hold on it because I think we're not ready, we need to study the specific recommendations that were made for topics. There are topics included in the report that changes, but there are specific topics that people asked about. So I think they should govern us in the development of the second annual for senior health care. The first annual was an attempt to give an overview of common issues of aging, and in particular to deal with some of the mental health problems, because Dr. Buckles and myself are both experts in mental health. So that is our bias, and since the two of us organized the speakers, that came through at first. However, I don't think it was a failure. I think we are learning that this group is not particularly interested in mental health. They seem interested in dementia, but not in other related topics of mental health. So mental health is not mentioned in any of the feedback that was given. So dementia is not mentioned. So therefore, I guess those should, fall off the list for this year, and we'll really pay attention to the specific topics that are mentioned. Financial, fall prevention, recognizing signs of cognitive decline, case management, financial, where to look for help in various emergency situations that don't require judgment.
no, Dr. Albert, there were only 16 feedbacks that we're talking about. We had 300 attendees, so.
Right, but these people expressed their thoughts, the rest of them didn't. So we don't know what they really said, really.
But shouldn't that be bad because of that? No, it's a very important topic.
You're saying that you think it was too academic and that you wanted to be more focused on services. Now you're saying academic is a good idea, so which is?
I was saying they were both, but it didn't seem to be that we were focused on one. If we want to simplify it, it has to be one. I wasn't opposed to the academics, I loved it, but we can't have both things is what I was trying to tell you that. But anyway, I didn't want you to drop off the mental health topic just because 16 people out of 300.
I think it takes some time to think it
Yeah.
through.
I think also simplifying is taking out 4 speakers or a number of speakers and just having 2 speakers. That in itself simplifies it. And that way we can focus on who and what we want. So I think I'm correct on that, what the city's thoughts regarding simplifying it is simplifying the flow, because we're gonna have 1 speaker at the beginning, 1 speaker at the end. Everybody will have an opportunity to be at the vendors.
That would be a good.
But I also think it's the topics that were mentioned are very important.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have to recreate the wheel. So looking at other senior events, health fairs, the topics and the vendors that they have a track record of it, and they keep coming back because that's where the interest lies. Doesn't mean we have to go with those exact same ones, but I don't think we have to deviate from a proven track. I
Okay,
think we can add to it.
okay, so we can keep this as an agenda for next time.
And I will provide, just, point of, process. We actually do have, it's lovely to see, community members, in our audience today. And just wanted to highlight that if there are specific, topics or agendas that you would like to provide a public comment, we do have, public speaker cards, on the table here. They're yellow cards. So you are more than welcome to fill one of those out if there is something on the agenda that you would like to provide a comment on. So just wanted to provide that context before we, went a little bit further as well. Because sometimes we do have meetings where we don't have, community members in attendance, so it is very nice to see, those in attendance today.
Yeah. So now, should we go through the spring fling?
Yeah,
Yeah, we are now into informational items, yes. So just for context, we hosted the Halloween fling back in October 2025. And at the November meeting, it was indicated that the commission did want to continue that collaboration with Club 55 and to host a spring fling in 2026. And that was definitely a recommendation by staff, only because the back-to-back nature of the health fair and then the Halloween fling in 2 months back to back was a little bit tight in regards to staff resources. So the spring fling is currently selected and scheduled for May 15th, as we highlighted in the work plan discussion. So we'll turn it over. We had selected an ad hoc committee, and that was Chair Olson and Commissioner Dixit. We had just selected that. We're kind of getting into the time frame where we can start planning logistics with that. And so I will turn it over to the ad hoc committee if there's anything informationally. This is not an action item, but informationally, if there are anything that the commissioners would like to share.
Yes, thank you. So, I did talk with Club 55 regarding the spring fling, and they had a discussion. They did want to state that, they thought it was an excellent turnout. The DJs were fun and good, refreshments were great, interactivity between staff and Club 55 was really wonderful to work with. The registration setup, that was great. I have pre-made badges. And so that's where they wanted to start. And so it went great. They thought it was a wonderful event. And they look forward to doing it again this year, which obviously we are. And let's see, so the RSVP system, I know I signed up, tried signing up, and that got confusing, so I said I'll sign up at the door. And I also know that Club 55 sent out an invitation, and RSVPs went to Club 55, and they passed that information on to you, and you made the badges, which was great. The capacity for Club 55, they believe, is about 125 people, mainly because of all the work that is required in the kitchen. So more than that, they would need more volunteers. So the setup would be around 4:30 because musicians, the band this year they're discouraging people to bring their own food. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is part of what they do through the whole year. And so people are trained to, and I did ask them regarding bands, because this year they have bands, every single one, except Spring Fling. So they're looking into if a band would be willing to play. So they will get back on that. And so that would be nice. The one thing would be, really nice is to get the Club 55 poster available by the end of March. I believe they're working with Chris on that. So that way it's available early in the year, they have it to pass it out, and it gets it going throughout the whole season, and then as well as, for us to get a simple one just for Spring Fling. And that would, before the April one would be great, and then our commission, I know in marketing, we had somebody that went out and posted them around, so that would be nice to have them at least a month before the, May 17th. And that way also we have to save the date, and that way we can have a greater outreach to the 50s, 60s, and 70-year-olds.
Sorry, the gas, if we can make our own food for this time, and that's that.
So the question, would it be okay to make our own save the date flyer as a save the beach?
It would so we do have our city marketing standards, so we will most likely, it would be preferred that staff, just to make, because it is a commission and city run, event. So we can definitely have staff provide that support to create, so that it follows that standard.
Okay. And then if you could let us know when that would be available, that's great.
Mhm. My guess is that the joint one is probably being worked on already. I have not seen the draft quite yet, and so particularly I will probably see it because there is the component of the Spring Fling that will be part of it. And then we will be working on an individual flyer specifically for the Spring Fling. Our general policy is usually to have information out at least 30 days in advance. And so given that we're kind of in March, I believe that is already in process.
I was talking with Chris about this because next week, on the 10th of March, we'll have the 75 people from the solar group.
Yes.
meet. And I wanted to have some of them at least come to Spring Fling.
Yes,
But if we don't have a flyer ready at that time, is it possible that I can make a save the date flyer of our own? But if it doesn't work with your city compliance, then how do I have a way of
Gotcha.
giving them a handout?
what date is that,
We're
Shabri?
meeting the second Tuesday of the month, which will be 10th of March. Next week, Tuesday.
Let me see where we are in the creation process.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Yeah. so then that would, I could reach that group. They don't participate because they don't know much about what it is. It
Yeah.
would be very nice if they did.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was part of our discussion.
Yes,
For sure. And to be able to give the save the date more in advance, because I would say our plus 50s are very busy, and their schedule fills up, and 30 days is not necessarily, it would be helpful to have more than that.
no, absolutely. Our obviously minimum,
Yeah.
sometimes it is, ahead of that. As far as planning goes, obviously there is the series, so the collaboration is specifically for the May 15th, at least the Senior Commission and Club 55. The Club 55 events will go April through October. So there is, if we don't quite hit, obviously March, we could April, is obviously in advance of the May
Yeah.
15th
Yeah.
date. So that is something, regardless, I will follow up on where we are in the creation
Okay,
process.
all right. And I will think of just announcing. that
Yeah.
We have the signs, okay.
And one suggestion that they did have, which was great, and this goes into outreach, is to work on a list of local ministries and their email. So that way it could go to their congregation seniors. Like your churches, your synagogues, your,
Yeah.
and then they have a way to send it to the proper group. And so, I don't know, does the city have access to those names and who's in charge?
No, so all I can speak to is procedurally for others, or at least how we get the word out. As I described earlier, we can absolutely provide flyers, and obviously for a variety of different things. We obviously have the website, the city's social media platforms. There are a number of newsletters, not only from our Parks and Recreation Department, but from the city. It's called In the Heights, which comes out from the city in general. The commission can absolutely request flyers, and if you actually get some of those notifications, you can also feel free to forward to your networks as well. But to your question, Chair Olson, the commission is welcome to share that information with a lot of the local organizations within the community so that we can help get the word out.
Okay, very good. That's my update.
Okay, very nice.
Is there anything you still need help with? So our friends don't think, so now I know they're all good, we'll make it through, available. So if they need help with, let me know.
Well, I was looking back at what we did for the fall festival, and so we had the overview and the setup and how that would go. Food refreshments, which the city took care of, marketing, working with the city of Chris, and activities, fun, so. Cross them out.
Oh, well, then.
Carnival. Yeah, carnival, a couple other things, and just that there.
Really?
Yeah. I think the only other comment I did not, if I remember, was brought up regarding food and refreshments. I know we had them inside because it was October, we weren't sure what the weather was gonna be, but to have it outside with food and drinks, so that way it's, keeps the people followed. That would be the only suggestion, which is.
We'll see what May brings. I kind of feel that the weather has a mind of its own at the moment. So, we shall see what, the forecast is, but we have the ability to do either, which could be, I think, ideally, it would be on the patio to kind of engage that outdoor space. But we do have the ability to do it indoors if it happens to be inclement weather in May, which
It could.
I don't know. We shall see.
But is there a ban?
We don't know, they're checking to see, because it seemed as if, the band draws out a lot more people on the dance floor.
Makes it fun too. Yeah.
And
So they're not contracted to have a band each time? They can decide whether they have it or not?
well, they get volunteer, these bands are volunteering.
Volunteer.
Yes. And they do have a donation box out there, which would be nice to have let people know that, so that way they are compensated for, but for working pairs. Well, it could be the outreach and starting a list for the,
Yeah, maybe you guys can, some.
some outreach, okay, about the outreach. I'll keep continuing the communication with for 55. And then,
And what about decoration? Is that something that the city does? You would take care of that, the OT declaration?
My anticipation is that the breakdown of responsibilities would be similar from the Halloween, fling, which seemed to work fairly well, as, Charleston highlighted. The city did assist with, staffing, obviously setup, and then the, food portion of it. Club 55, and we did, depending on what happens with the entertainment, for the Halloween fling, the city did provide the DJ. So if it does end up where, we might, need to adjust depending on what happens with Club 55's outreach, we can take a look at that. But, city also handled the marketing, portion as well too, but obviously Club 55, assisted with the beverages and obviously some of that outreach and, some of the registration, though a bulk of it did come through the city as well too, because we utilized our registration system.
But I don't hear decoration.
Oh, sorry, you question asked about decoration. Yes, the city provided the decoration as well. My mind went to all of the other pieces and I forgot to answer your question.
Or Michael's is having this big sale that just started today, you know, Michael's has all these beautiful decorations, right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, so their Easter, spring stuff is going on sale today, 50% off or something like that, so. I was planning a trip to Michael's, so I was thinking, if you needed something, for the spring fling, I would get Easter stuff, anyway. Well, I might pick up a few good things. But that's like. Spring fling.
No, okay. Sounds like we have we need a working pair for.
Marketing for members. I didn't know what
Thank you, the lonely ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks, Simon, to your question about churches. I belong to that particular one, which is also, I'm very familiar with the workings of the other Catholic churches, St. William and St. Oh God, I forget. Anyway, there's two of them in the immediate area. And St. Simon is just starting a ministry for isolated older adults. So nothing's happened yet, and I'm part of that planning group and how we can do that at the parish level. And the other parish, St. William, and somebody using St. Simon as a model, so whatever we come up with, then they're gonna try. So I think that could be one small, drop in something, but it could be exactly. Because the person who's in charge of developing the senior ministry has a lot of contacts with the other churches, so that might be a magnet into the Catholic community at least. And probably others have contacts with other religious communities, so, but maybe we could start with that, if I'm already doing that. Okay. I'll let you do those.
So that's all I have for my update on spring fling.
Okay. So the next item would be flyers. And in your packet, this is the ramp up to, I would say, busy season for Parks and Recreation, just in general. So you are seeing the results of that in the number of flyers that you probably have in your packet. We are in the midst of tax preparation. So one of the services, and you see a flyer for that, is we have partnered with AARP to provide tax services and appointments on Mondays. And so that is February 2nd through April 13th. And it is a free service that you can obviously contact the Adult 50+ reception to get more information. But that is ongoing on the Mondays. We also have information. This was shared by Commissioner Gallagher Thompson And this was something specific through SourceWise and one of their events that they're trying to get feedback on, so mental health focus groups. And that is specifically through Santa Clara County. So they're absolutely looking for feedback in this area, so that flyer is also included. The next one is specific to Los Altos Hills, but there is another drive-through shred event, and that's Saturday, March 21st from 8 to 11, or until the truck is full. That is specific to Los Altos Hills residents, and that will be in the town hall parking lot. Family fun days, which was mentioned a little bit earlier, but we have our next one that will be coming up in April, and that will be April 18th. That will be travel and transport. That's the theme. And then obviously kickoff to summer will be June 6th. So those are the two upcoming events that we will have. Spring is coming up as well, and both the hills and the city will have kind of two different themed events around that. Obviously dog themed in Los Altos Hills, which is the Hop and Hounds event at the Burn Preserve at the West Wind Community Barn. Same day, just a little bit earlier, so 9 to 10:30 for that Hop and Hounds event in Los Altos Hills. And then a little bit for, oh, you know what, they probably didn't include it because I just approved the flyer. So our event will also be the same day. And the egg hunt actually starts at 10, but we will share that flyer. I did just approve it, so that will be shared shortly. The next one, and I will just highlight this because it is a brand new inaugural program that we have, which is our child care subsidy program. So this is specific to support Santa Clara County's initiative for affordable child care. There is the specifics on eligibility that it is either residents of Los Altos or current City of Los Altos employees. Obviously, the income requirements will have to meet HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development income limits. And participants, it is specific to the preschool age, which the participant has to be between 2 and 5 years old. So it is up to 50% subsidy of the program fee. So information is on the city's website. We also obviously have the flyer. So more information for those that might be interested. Obviously, you can follow the QR code or look at the city's website as well. Planning and registration just opened for Los Altos residents today, and we had a number of people. We had a line actually at the front desk earlier today. And we actually, at our open house event, which was last Thursday, we had probably about 200 people in attendance, and the benefit of coming to the event was they got to register early. So we got a number of people that did that. But this, the next series of flyers highlights some of our favorite camp programs that will be coming up. Camp Jelly Bean, which is in that preschool realm, 3.5 to 4 years of age. The next one, which is a community favorite, our Redwood Grove Summer Camp, which happens our outdoor programming out at Redwood Grove Preserve. And then for those that are a little bit outside the age range of our camps, but would still like kind of that camp experience, we have our counselors in training, those that also might be interested in maybe potentially working for us. When they turn 16, this could also be a good avenue for those that are looking to get some experience, maybe working with kids as well too. So all of that is going, and then the city is actively hiring for all of those to support those programs. So hiring summer camp staff and obviously to support all of those programs that will start in June. So that is all of the flyers. Happy to answer any questions if there are any. No? Alrighty. And I kind of included some of my staff report, but the only additional thing I will add here is that obviously Los Altos residents get a courtesy registration for this week. registration opens today. Registration for all others will open next Monday on March 9th. So that will open up for everyone next week. But Los Altos residents will get courtesy registration and priority registration for the remainder.
So before we adjourn, one thing that was also brought up, which goes along with marketing, is a way, thinking of like the Club 55 or the different things that programs that the city puts on, somehow co-market with the rideshare program. And rideshare program, people that have utilized it or be able to receive something, or for those programs, people are going, I don't know how to get there, to be able to cross market. So,
Like, when somebody,
well, here you have seniors that might want to go do something here downtown, or they might want to come to Club 55, but they don't want to drive at night, they can't.
Mhm.
And they're unaware of the driver or the rideshare program.
okay.
And somehow connect the reason for them why, you know, yes, you can come because we offer this. I don't know if there's a way that,
I don't know how we can tackle this, it's the which comes before the chicken or the egg, because,
well, that
I
I
guess
was
the money
putting it out
is-
there as a thought.
yeah, no, it is a very, very good,
If it could be something
thought.
that Club 55 has that as something on that they're able to then provide. Maybe it's at the first one where they have their joint.
And then I will share, we have one other section, and I only know this because Commissioner Gallagher Thompson mentioned that she wanted to share a little bit of an update during the commission subcommittee, commissioner subcommittee reports in regards to Source One.
Oh, I just put everything away.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to share.
That I attended the first meeting today, and their meetings are once a month, similar hours. And earlier in the day, so it's kind of nice to put these into this one. It's a huge group, because they have representatives from all over this large county of ours. And it seems like many of their programs are geared to low-income seniors. But there were some that seem to cross over or have no particular financial eligibility criteria. So what I got out of it was that they are a great source of information if you're starting out as a caregiver for this. They have a number of programs, but what I honed in on was if you're a caregiver, you can call them and they'll talk to you about various services, possibilities that might fit your particular situation, which is very nice. It's kind of like one-stop shopping for information. And, you know, what you do with the information is up to you. When you follow through, they don't have a plan for following through. They just give you the information. So those of you that have been in the aging field for a while probably remember the Area Agency on Aging, the AAA. So with that, this is the AAA for Santa Clara County. It's just been renamed source-wise. Why, I have no idea, maybe it's called by, but that's their name. They don't go by Area Agency on Aging anymore, but that is what they are essentially, which started out as the information referral service, and that is still the bulk of what they do. But they also run nutrition programs, they run their own transportation programs, they have mobility assistance where they do modifications in the home for people, low income people who need that type of thing. They have housing initiatives, they're all over, you know, they have 17 different areas that they work in. So they have expanded enormously over the last few years. Hard to get a grip on the whole thing all at once, you know, but.
it's pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, this was in person. They alternate in person with Zoom. So next month is Zoom. So we'll see. I don't officially start, I don't think until July. They're on a different year, on a different calendar than we are now. So I would say, I guess, today. So, I think it'll be good. We'll learn, I'm trying to, learn how, what they have to offer could possibly benefit us. And I think we'll learn a little bit more about the diversity of Los Altos, Hills, and, maybe not everyone is, very wealthy and not in need of their services. I think that was the initial reaction to me being introduced was kind of like, why are you here? We don't have anything for you. Yeah, that was the tone in the room, so, well, we'll find ways,
Welcome to a county meeting, that's what we always face in county meetings, and it's not true at all.
It's
not
right. They're every time, yeah.
But it is the stereotype.
Yeah, no, I have witnessed it.
You can say.
It'll be interesting.
Any other comments?
For me, no.
Or anybody?
So,
Sally?
Are you set for?
Yes, I think so. The one other thing I was just gonna mention as I was listening to all this is I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that the Spring Fling and the health fair are good places to advertise the adult 50+ program, because I don't think
Yeah.
that's probably optimally utilized, and I don't know, because I haven't seen it, but I think this group can be pushing that, because isn't that where rideshare sits and where, so we really should have a whole thing on adult 50+ and then focus on various aspects of it, but there's a lot of resources there that people don't know are available.
Well, that's it. I'm adjourning the meeting. Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned. Okay.
Okay.
Feels like,
And
I'm
maybe-
put it on that order.
Maybe you can invite our